Ladies and gentlemen, take warning because it is officially hurricane season. As always, welcome back to the Nascar Nick podcast. Why don't that did not set right coming out of my mouth? Anyway, it's the NASCAR Nick podcast. I am Nick, as always. Here to talk about this past weekend out in Talladega. If you didn't watch, you missed a hell of a weekend. If you did watch, you watched, well, a hell of a weekend. Carson Hocevar scores his first career win in, do you want to say, surprising fashion. He's been pretty strong on the restrictor plates, the, what do we call this now? The drafting tracks. And it was just a matter of time before he finally got his first career win, kind of like Ty Gibbs. The question is, out of the two of them, which one of them is going to get their second win? It seemed to be a very popular win, not only amongst the competitors on that cool down lap, but in the fans in general. And the fans are something I'm going to talk about a little bit later after this past weekend. Something seemed different about this. I don't know how to put it. It kind of felt like when Chase Elliott finally got his first career win, kind of like that sigh of relief, but also that jubilation from the fan base. And you could see, if you watched any video online of a fan reacting to it, it was very genuine. He's came close before. This is his first win in his 91st career start. Came close a lot last year, most notably Michigan was running strong. Led at the white flag of the 500 this year. And how's the best way to put this? I think this is one we're going to be talking about for a while. I think we're going to be talking about that post-race celebration for a while, and good to see that the higher-ups have no issue with it. Going to talk about them more later as well. But I was just sitting there, and I'm not a Carson Hocevar fan. I'm actually wearing, under the hoodie I have on, a Carson Hocevar Chili's shirt, but that's just because I love Chili's, of course. Even my sister, who doesn't care for racing, wanted to see the Chili's car do well because of the brand. And I think it's kind of cool. We're getting back to that a little bit in the sport where, yeah, you root for the driver because the driver, but you also want to see a company in which you like succeed as well. I think the only thing Chili's needs to do now is do either give us a Carson Hocevar wins promotion, like a free triple dipper, or at what point do we get a Hurricane Hocevar margarita? But I don't know. It just, sitting there watching it just felt different. It put a smile on my face, at least. I think it's always cool to see a driver win their first career race. I know a lot of people might say, well, look at the style of racing. It could be a fluke. This wasn't a fluke. He's been strong in the past at all sorts of tracks. It's just a matter of time. And even then, he's good at the style of racing. You look at, he finished second, I believe, in his duel. Was leading the 500 before spinning up towards the front at Atlanta multiple times. This wasn't a fluke. It was just something bound to happen. And you could really see how much it not only meant to how much it meant to him in his post-race interviews. I thought he was going to throw up on the start-finish line. He he had the look of like he was gonna yak, which wouldn't be a first in the sport. I don't think it'd be a first at Talladega. Noah Gragson definitely did it there once before. Continuing with the top 10, Buescher finished second, Bowman third, Elliott fourth, Zane Smith fifth, Ricky Stenhouse seventh, Ross Chastain eighth. I'm back. Got this all messed up. Buescher second, Bowman third, Elliott fourth, Smith fifth, Stenhouse sixth, Chastain seventh, Cindric eighth, Gragson ninth, Kyle Busch coming home in 10th. What happened here? And then just again, all the videos I've seen, it just going back to it, it was a feel good win. The celebration was sick. I know he made the joke saying it took him 20 minutes to get it going, and watching it, like most of you guys, you didn't know what was about to happen, and then he started rolling, and like I'm sitting there watching with a family member, and you see him turn towards the inside wall, and you could see the uh-oh face. He gave a great explanation in the post-race media availability of what he was trying to do. I thought it was funny there was an ambulance not too far behind him. Now, whether that was on purpose or not, even then, at first I thought him hitting the front stretch wall was on accident. No, that was, he made it sound like that was fully on purpose to complete the burnout. But overall, just a fun finish to a fun race, I guess. What else Talladega wise? We had the big one, like always. Lap 144. Ross Chastain has his Dynaco's all mine moment and lifts up the rear tires of Bubba. I saw people blaming Bubba. I know Bubba took the blame for it. Look, there's nothing that could be done with these bumpers not really lining up on 3 different manufacturers. They all have different shapes. So something is bound to happen. Curious, though, and it would take a bit of work, but out of all the big wrecks at these drafting style tracks, Daytona, Talladega, and Atlanta, in what scenario is it a bump gone wrong, and what manufacturer is the pushing car? I know Chevrolet kind of flattened up the nose a little bit this year. Not that much of a pointy Camaro nose anymore. But again, Ross just lifted the rear tires off the ground. And even I sat there and I was like, the whole field's in this. I don't know how anyone's getting through, like most of us, like Clint Boyer even said. And I mean, there was a decent amount of cars. There's a lot of torn up cars. One of them eventually getting themselves into another wreck with the amount of damage. But in total, there was 26 cars involved in some capacity. Guys that actually wound up finishing in the top 10 were involved in it, like Cindric, Busch. That might be it. No, look at it. But Cindric, Austin Dillon, Kyle Larson, Keselowski, Suarez, Busch, Hamlin, Blaney, Briscoe, Berry, Logano, Wallace, Byron, Love, Custer, Nemechek, Jones, Joey Gase, who I don't know how he was involved. He was 2 laps down before they even started the race, it felt like. Tyler Reddick, Cody Ware, Ty Gibbs, Chad Fincham, who I'm going to talk about later, Michael McDowell, my pick to win this week. That did not help. Carson Hocevar, I guess, was caught up in it at some capacity. I've got to go back and watch the replay. Connor Zilch, Shane Van Gisbergen. All in it at some capacity. Larson, Blaney, Logano, Wallace, Byron, Custer, all falling out of the race because of their damage. Um, look, it's just the nature of this racing. Um, you'll wad up more than half the field at 70, 75 laps left to go, I believe it was, something like that. Um, Normally you're sitting there watching 10 cars roll around the track, and thankfully, with these new bodies, they could take hits and keep going. Um, my only question I have off of the wreck, and again, this is where my slight Larson bias comes out. And I mean, it's more or less just like a genuine question at this point. Um, but why? And I would love to get an explanation why, but I'm probably never going to get an explanation why. Um, why was Kyle Larson classified as finishing last when they talked to two drivers outside the care center while Larson was getting towed back to the garage? Um, it's probably a transponder thing. I don't get it. Um, Again, not that the points are going to make a big difference. Um, which is one thing I noticed that when I was going through the finishing results, putting everything together for today. Let's see, what else do we have? I didn't mind the change in the stages. I know a lot of people complained it was running around half throttle for, what was it, 90 laps of the first stage, with 2 pit stops. As someone who's seen this style of racing now in person, and that was at Daytona back in February. Um, Look, I thought it was great racing in Daytona. I know drivers don't like it, teams don't like it, fans don't like it. But as a fan watching it, look, they're still buzzing by you. It feels like at top speed, and the absolute organized chaos that a pack of 40 cars running 3 wide, however many rows deep, is one of the most insane things you will ever see in person. Um, I get the whole fuel saving strategy thing isn't really appealing to much, but I'd rather them do that in the first half of the race than the second half of the race. And by doing that, we were able to get, the all-out balls to the wall racing that we got, because there was no need to have a pit stop in those last 2 stages. Again, but that's part of racing, is the strategy of, and if the strategy is, hey, we got to save X amount of fuel to get to a certain lap, then it's just, the way it is. I know people don't really people are going to find ways to complain about anything. We know this. I feel like it's the same people that complain about no action on a drafting track because they're running half throttle are the same people that would rather see the race end under caution because there was a wreck with 3 laps to go. Like, I get the whole appeal of, like, it's a scheduled distance, but I don't, you want to see the action. And, going back to it, if you sit here and complain about them running half throttle, but also want to see them, like, finish under caution, what do you want? You want the action when it's not necessary, and you want the boring ending. And again, there's not a lot of people a lot of fans I've seen complain about that per se. But if there's one thing I've learned being a NASCAR fan, and even being a sports fan in general, you're never going to appease everyone all at once. And that's just the way it is. Now, going forward with this, obviously NASCAR will most likely talk with the teams, the drivers, and they'll figure out a plan for Daytona and Talladega this fall. But again, I didn't mind it. I thought it was interesting because it had a fun element in the beginning of the race, and then you could just solely focus on going for the win at the end of the race. It wasn't the, okay, no, we need to hit this number so we can pit that this time to then have a chance to go for the win. It was no, it was let's do our due diligence in the first half so we can put on a hell of a show in the second half, and that's exactly what we got. And all that excellent racing in the second half of that race almost made me forget until I was going over a couple of things this morning about the commercials. I don't like to complain about commercials. I get it. It's a part of it. I like that Fox is doing side by side when it's green, except for that one time when it randomly happened. And even then, it was like the second to last commercial that I realized that they were not side by side. Look, we need to keep the money in to be able to have these races. So, like, even if that is commercial dollars, the TV partners need to get theirs as well. But there was one time, I want to say it was the start of stage 2. Was it start of stage 2 where, I mean, two and a half, 3 laps in, they're already cutting for a commercial break. That might have even been the one that led into the full screen commercial. I really don't remember off the top of my head. Anyone that's going to complain about Fox, you only got to bear with it for 3 more weeks before we get the Amazon Prime coverage. I've definitely said it on here before. I don't have my own Amazon Prime account. I share an account with family members. When it comes to using Amazon to like order stuff, and then I will obviously just go on when I want to watch practice and qualifying for the Cup Series. I wish Amazon had the full schedule. But I also understand that if Amazon were to get the full schedule, I feel like there would be a little bit of a drop in production value. Let's say they have, and again, I'm using random numbers. I don't know exactly what it is, so I'm just gonna, let's say they have a budget of $50 million in production value for their 5 races. That's $10 million per. Yeah, that number would go up if they had the whole season, but then instead of maybe having $10 million of production value, they would have 5. And I don't want to see that, because then you're having a dip in, well, the value in the content. I would like to see them get more. I think a lot of fans realize that how well Amazon worked out last year. And even then, I know a lot of people sat here and complained about, oh, well, it's something else I got to pay for, and it sucks, and it's behind it's behind the paywall. A certain generation of fans might not know how to use the internet to get it. I can't help them with that one, but like, I'd be interested to see how it works this year, because Amazon did it last year where you could sign up for free for 30 days. You could watch everything because everything was in a 30-day window. Now my only question is, if you've had that account and canceled it, can you resubscribe for the free 30 days on the same one, or do you got to sit and make a whole new account? And what kind of issues that might have? Yeah, because some companies there's multiple redundancies to make sure people can't make a million accounts. So I mean, we'll see what happens here in a few weeks. They start with the Coke 600 in about a month's time, and what are the three remaining races for Fox? Um, Texas this weekend, Watkins Glen the week after, the All-Star race at Dover the week after that, and then it switches over. Um, 3 more weeks. That's to the Fox haters. That's all I gotta say is 3 more weeks. Um, and we'll see. See what happens. Continuing on the weekend of first-time winners. Saturday afternoon, Corey Day would score his first career O'Reilly's win. Came on the radio and said if you said something to the extent of he never would have thought his first win would have came at a drafting style track. I don't think a lot of people saw that coming. It was the first driver to get their first career O'Reilly's win with Hendrick Motorsports since Kyle Busch all the way back in 2004 at Richmond. What else of this? Super Bowl winner, Jason Kelsey. Yeah, making sure I got the right one on here. Was part of the pit crew, which I saw. I guess they showed him on pre-race, and I'm like, okay, then I saw the last name. I was like, oh, well, how many times does he have to hear it? And then I guess he turned around. I'm like, oh no, that's actually Jason Kelsey. I guess he was practicing with Hendrick Motorsports all week. He was only he was only holding the pit sign and catching gas cans from what I could tell. Obviously, he's not going to hop over the wall, but that's just a cool way to help bring more eyes towards the sport. Overall, that race just felt chaotic. I was sitting there watching it on my laptop, and it never felt like there was a time to breathe, maybe other than the cautions. It just always felt like there was something wild going on. But that is also just the nature of the O'Reilly's cars. I know a lot of people keep saying that the Cup cars need to be more like the O'Reilly cars. I think the goal shouldn't be to be like the O'Reilly's cars, but to be better than the O'Reilly's cars. But we'll see what happens when the next series of car comes out. I have a couple of comments on an interesting comment made earlier this week, or made last week, about the future of some cars and some bodies. But overall, that race, like I said, felt chaotic. Luckily, nothing serious happened. Got not that I remember off the top of my head of any major incidents other than the last lap with Burton, Blaine Perkins, someone else. Maybe was it the 92 of Josh Williams? Maybe. But the other interesting thing from this race was the two stage winners, Carson Quapple and Justin Allgaier, getting penalized. I have here on my notes for blending like idiots. I forgot what the actual call was. But yeah, no, thank God NASCAR kind of put something like that into place, because watching Jesse Love zip in and out of traffic like everyone was standing still, that's a dangerous situation. And all it takes is one wrong move, and Jesse Love is piled driving into the back of a car, probably 30 miles an hour quicker. So no, that was a good rule to put in place. And then the earlier race that day was the ARCA race. Obviously, a lot of eyes on it because Cletus and Squirrel. Race dominated early by Giro. I still feel like I'm pronouncing that name wrong. Um, won by I know I'm gonna butcher this one, so if I just refer to him as Andy J, it's just the way it is. But I'll attempt it here. Andy J and Koyak sounds about right. I actually saw Andy J races modified back in November at Wall Stadium for their annual Turkey Derby. Showed up with a cool looking blue car. If you're in the area, I'm just going to go on a quick side note. If you're in the New York metro area, I mean, you can even say Philadelphia metro area, and you like racing, and you like sitting in a grandstand freezing your butt off, after Thanksgiving, like the Friday and Saturday after Thanksgiving at Wall Stadium, which they put a lot of work into this year. They do their annual Turkey Derby modified race weekend. Hell of a race. Last year was my first year going to it. That's my side note. But he passed Cletus and Gus Dean in the Trioval. I thought Cletus was going to win there for a second, like a lot of us. I genuinely wondered how nuts that would have been if Cletus won. But I mean, still feel a good story with Andy J. Getting his win. One of these small teams getting his first win. After being close a couple of times, had that memorable quote. I know they mentioned it on the broadcast, saying he wasn't lifted until he saw that checkered flag or God a handful of years ago in Daytona. I think he wound up getting wrecked in that race too. In his interview, I felt like all the interviews after this weekend were very humbling. Were very humble interviews, very telling of personality. You could see how speechless he was. Yeah, you heard the a couple boos come out from the grandstands because they probably wanted Cletus to win. Cletus would wind up finishing second, best career ARCA result, finishing leading 19 laps. There's that really cool clip. I forgot who posted it. I guess all the fans inside of that big hall. The fan area inside the infield of Talladega. Going nuts when he took the lead, going nuts when he was ahead there on the last lap. And that's what you want to see. You want to see the fans really invested in that no matter who it is. I guess the next time we'll see Cletus is, if I had to take a wild guess, in the ARCA car, probably Charlotte. They should be going to Charlotte this year. Squirrel, on the other hand, that's the happiest I've ever seen someone who wrecked. It just shows what racing, I guess, means to him, because he took a hell of a hit himself. They have a few weeks, so they're going to get that car ready for Charlotte themselves, for a Squirrel to go back out there. But this is the process, and again, it's ARCA. There's only really a handful of competitive cars. Hell, the race, there was 3-4 different packs, 5 laps into that race, it felt like. But this is what Cletus has to do, and he keeps doing it. I guarantee you, we'll see Cletus and O'Reilly car by Daytona next February. Those two races made it, just contributed to the weekend of all around great racing. And thankfully, especially on Saturday, none of the races were affected by rain. We did have qualifying for the Cup race canceled on Saturday morning, which helped the 45 team cheat and get another pole position. But from the weekend, my main takeaway from this weekend is I feel like this weekend might leave fans a little confused with what they want in the sport. because there's no doubt that Carson Hocevar is one of the more polarizing figures. Um, Again, it seemed like a lot of people were genuinely happy for him. Um, a lot of good fan reaction. Hell, Lionel's website was crashing last night trying to order the car. I thankfully got in to order. And over recent years, I've been pre-ordering more cars. Um, I never rush so quick to pre-order a car than that car. Again, it's partially because it's his first career win, partially because it's a popular win, partially because I like Chili's and I have the two previous Chili's cars that they made. Um, I was able to. I mean, they're still up for pre-order. Um, I snagged and again, I really don't see the appeal of spending $165 on the Elite Premier. I picked up an Elite Premier as well as an ARC. Um, I guarantee you, come November, this is unless Chase Elliott wins the championship. I guarantee you this will, or Dale Jr. wins a late model race and they make a race version of that. I guarantee you this will be the best selling diecast all year. Um, but Where did I go on this? I felt like the win helped fans kind of come around to who Carson is a little more as a person. Um, if you remember correctly, you know, Carson was public enemy number one for a little bit. Some run-ins in the truck series, most notably the championship race. Dude, I just burped into the mic. Yeah. Um, Most notably the championship race in 2023 in Phoenix, where he spun Corey Heim, and then Corey Heim got back at him. Um, a couple other. He was very rough around the edges, kind of like Ross Chastain when Ross was getting into the sport, well, making more of a presence in the sport in the one car. Um, like I find it funny. We have like this kind of we have like these two different sides of drivers in the sport, and we have like the very outgoing drivers, and fans don't like that for some reason. And we have the very vanilla drivers, and like I'm not ashamed to say that my favorite driver is on that more vanilla side in Kyle Larson. Like he's not as flashy, you know. He's not someone who's gonna roll up to the track in a Dale Senior painted, done up Chevy pickup truck when cow and a cowboy hat like Carson would. Um, but like I find it like there's no in between of the vanilla and the flashy driver, and like again our most popular driver. And I'm not trying to pick on these guys, but our most popular driver Chase Elliott. And I look, I don't mind if you want to live a more private life, but I dare you to find something more plain than Chase Elliott's personality. And I hate to say that, um, because I respect what he does. Um, but having these kind of personalities is what helps grow the sport. Um, Whether you like the way they do it or you don't. I mean, look at the way Denny Hamlin, and even Kyle Busch, when they became public enemy number one in the Cup Series, in a lot of fans' eyes, they embraced it. They made it fun to hate them as a driver. Um, like it's a very weird. It's very, and I'm not saying all the drivers need to be bold and brash. Um, but these outgoing drivers allow casuals to latch onto someone. I mean, if you're a casual NASCAR fan and you have only got into it recently because Cletus, I'll use Cletus as an example. Um, well, Carson has done stuff with Cletus. He's partook in um, the Crown Vic races at the Freedom Factory. Well, now you have a name you've seen doing something with Cletus in the top series, and I think Carson's definitely gained and will gain a lot of fans through that. Um, I would like to see the numbers this year. I'm not good. Again, Chase Elliott's going to win the most popular driver award this year. But I would like to see how close it is between um, Carson and Chase, because I genuinely think it could be close this year. But it's the current state of the drivers in the sport where we have like these two different sides. There's nothing in between, and it's really weird to watch and play out every weekend. But I think it's a good thing that we don't have a lot of the same thing. But I definitely like seeing the more outgoing guy. And again, that's nothing on any other driver out there. That's all I'm gonna say on that after running around in circles on that. What else from this past week and weekend? Steve O'Donnell replaces Jim France as a CEO, and Ben Kennedy becomes a COO. And I'm going to be a little blunt here for a split second. I'm particularly not a fan of the both of them, but over the last few months, some of the changes that they've helped facilitate has definitely helped bring me around a little more on the two of them. For a while, I know Ben Kennedy used to race, but you have guys in suits. I felt like you had non-racers trying to run a racing series. At least that's the way I felt. Steve O'Donnell went on Door Bumper Clear a few weeks ago and had a great it was a great episode to listen to if you have 2 hours and you don't feel like listening to me. Kind of peeled back the curtain a little bit. It was very funny, and said, I think, a lot of the right things the fans wanted to hear. Both of them were on with Fox yesterday during the pre-race. I actually did not see this live. I went back and watched it afterwards. I didn't really catch much of the pre-race. They talked about the schedule, and Ben Kennedy mentioned that I forgot her name. I should have wrote it down. But the lady that was in charge of the Chicago street race is heading the schedule for 2027. I don't know what they could do to change the schedule. I did make my little, I forgot what I called it. The very biased 2027 schedule prediction video a handful of weeks ago. That saw a couple of things I would like to see, hence the bias. I'm interested to see, since she was the one that overseen. I really don't know. My English is terrible. Who ran the Chicago street race, if maybe she's looking to get it back. But also, hopefully the racing at Chicagoland this year is good. I know they had the tire test last week. One thing that Ben Kennedy said was they want to use the Clash to help test new markets and new ideas. Um, Ideas for what? I don't want to see a race broken up into 5 segments where we have heat races, LCQs. I don't want to see that. I don't think fans want to see that. I think for an exhibition, that's perfect. Um, the new markets thing is interesting because there's not really many places you can go that early in the year. Obviously, there have been rumors about Mexico, and Brazil. If I was a team owner and NASCAR's like, yeah, we're packing up and we're going to Brazil, I don't think I'd want to do that from a financial standpoint. I don't think the return on investment would be there. Um, I like I said a few weeks ago in the schedule prediction / what I would do video, was I would either, I mean, you can keep it at Bowman Gray, which I think is kind of nice because it's local, but we've had the weather issues this year. Kind of pour the money into New Smyrna Speedway. I would like to maybe see them make a little quarter mile or something down on one of the straightaways at Daytona, right in front of the grandstand. I think that would be fun. Or even just bring it back to Daytona on the big track. But the new markets thing is also interesting. I think probably sometime around the race in San Diego, I'm going to start working on it now. Maybe look at, we'll pull up maps of different places in the country, maybe on the continent. Maybe we'll go up to, we'll look at Canada as well, of where NASCAR can do a street race. I'll try and make 4 or 5 layouts for you guys, and we'll go through them and see what could be fun, what could be interesting, what could have a nice marketability, fan appeal, and what could produce good racing. I have a couple ideas in mind already, just got to put them down on paper. But it's going to be interesting to see what they could do to grow the sport for years to come. The other thing that they talked about was the future of the All-Star race and Dover. Again, I'm going to complain about this in a few weeks, probably after the All-Star race. I keep saying it to people that I talk to about it. I might have said it on here once before. I feel like this All-Star race is going to be the make or break kind of thing for Dover, and I hate to say it like that. Yes, attendance has struggled over the last few years. We've only had 2 good weather dates in the last handful of years. We had back-to-back rainouts in 22 and 23. They keep moving the date around in May, which I feel like doesn't help. But if the racing is good, personally, I don't see the need for an all-star race. I think the TV, I don't know how the TV deals line up. But I think I think the TV deal is more with the number of races, not what kind of races. So if Fox needs to have 14, I forgot what it was, 14 races, why, I don't think they really need to have 2 exhibition races. I just, you can make a 37th point race. Now that they're trying to put like the emphasis on points and winning, it's just another way to get both. And then the last thing was they want to listen to people within the sport. Hopefully they listen to some of the fans as well. Again, fans have their own ideas. Fans have radical ideas. They could listen to everyone's ideas. No one is ever going to be happy about the overall outcome of it. There's always going to be one pissed off person. That's what I've learned. But we'll see what they can do. And you know, help grow the sport, because I think we are on a upward climb here in fan engagement and viewership. I don't think we're ever going to get back to the days of the 90s, early 2000s. But I think if we can get to a point where in September, October, you're having people say, do I want to watch the football game? Do I want to watch the random game Fox is putting on between, again, not to pick on these two teams, between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Arizona Cardinals, or do I want to watch 40 cars race around Talladega at 200 miles an hour? And if we can try and make ourselves more appealing to casuals where they're turning off football for us, I think that would definitely help. But again, that's going to be a very hard thing to do. Last topic I'm going to quickly talk about, because it came out early last week. I know there's probably been a couple other podcasts that have talked about this. Is it John Probst? Jeff Probst? Some Mr. Probst. He does something in NASCAR. I put this all together before I should have taken a bigger dive into who he is. I forgot where he said it, but they were just talking about CUVs, and this is just going to be my little 2 cents on it, because the way he made it sound like, and the CUV could be the future of the O'Reilly series. Dale Jr.'s already said no. I get it. Dale Jr. is not the end all. Is not the final word on it. They've been working on the CUVs with the electric cars. My only concern when I was thinking about this, we're going to get to a point where because we're already seeing it now at Chevrolet, where we might not have a car to base a Cup car on. I feel like we're always going to have a Camry. We always might have a Mustang. The Camaro's a little iffy right now, and if Dodge wants back into sport, what car are they going to base their Cup car off of? I wouldn't be surprised if the next generation of car is, and I hate to say it, because it's kind of bringing back like vibes of like the COT and that debacle, of like a spec body where the OEM is just bringing the engine. Sort of something similar to like what IndyCar does. But if they do that, it'd be nice to see them kind of open up. I don't want to say open up the rule book, obviously work within work within tight tolerances, but maybe help, bring all the cars closer together if they're that much similar. I hope it doesn't happen, because the COT was a terrible idea. I know the safety ideas it was pretty much born from was the main thing. But I also feel like the race on Sunday, buy on Monday kind of mantra is dead. I mean, I'm not, as much as I would love a nice Ford Mustang Dark Horse, I'm never going to be able to afford one. A Camry, maybe. But I feel like the priority shouldn't be, and I get it, it's just the marketing side of it. You see a Mustang on track, you're going to want a Mustang. But I feel like the priority with the next car in any series or truck should be that the the priority should be on the on-track product, not the marketability of the car itself. Um, the other thing that a spec body could help is just maybe reduce the cost for the teams. I know that was a big thing with the Gen 7 car, was it was supposed to help cost reduction. I don't think that's true at all. There's definitely been people, higher ups in teams have said we have spent more on these cars. I believe BJ McLeod on the Dale Jr. download said that they, in the first or second year of the Gen 7 car, they spent more than they thought they were going to. And that for the long sustainability of the sport, it seems that that needs to be changed. Um, there was part shortages for these cars. Um, I don't want to call the Gen 7 a failure, but it's had more. I feel like it's had more downsides than up. And the last thing on the CUV deal is the electric series. Again, a lot of people don't want to see an electric series. I think a lot of people are stuck in their heads that it's going to replace the Cup series. I don't see that. I think people are just so, how do I put this nicely? I think they're stuck in their heads thinking it would replace the Cup series when it wouldn't. I don't think teams would go for it. But I can see maybe like a companion series. It shouldn't be something to replace a series, but it should be its own deal that we could bring 5, 6, 7, 8 times to a track and just give fans more on-track access. A lot of people can track access. On-track activity. A lot of people like to complain there's not enough practice and not enough qualifying. Well, there's, the qualifying isn't there. On a given weekend, you might only have, look at Atlanta coming up in a handful of weeks. In July, it's a 2-day show. You have O'Reilly Cup practice. You have O'Reilly and Cup qualifying. That's it. You have the O'Reilly race Saturday night. The Cup race Sunday night, and then that's it. And then people sit here and be like, "Well, we want more on-track activities." And if NASCAR comes out and says like, "All right, we're going to give you an electric car series," we don't want an electric car series. Then what do you want? Because teams have said they might not want more practice. Again, this goes back to the you're never going to make everyone happy kind of thing. That's all I'll say in that. There's more professional people that have talked about this over the course of the last few days. Wrapping things up, I know earlier episodes, I had a segment where it was what I like, what I didn't like. We're just going to rebrand that. I haven't done it in a few weeks. We're going to rebrand that to what I'm calling the win sticker. Obviously named after the sticker. Some weeks it just might be one sticker. Some weeks it might be multiple stickers. We're gonna keep it basic for the first week. So pretty much what it is what I like of the weekend. Similar to your checkered flags and black flags on so we're going to do 2 stickers this week. One goes to the racing as a whole, all weekend, great racing. Entertaining racing. And I mean, other than the big one, the drivers being very respectful with each other on the track. The other one is going to go to, and this might sound a little nuts, is Chad Fincham. He's getting a win sticker from me. They did not give a shit. They went balls. They were probably saving gas. They went balls to the walls, got up there and led 8 laps. That's cool to see for that Garage 66 team. I don't know where they wound up finishing. See if I could find out right now. who sponsored him? They finished 28th, probably a couple laps down. Yeah, 3 laps down, but you know what? He led a couple laps. He led more laps than Kyle Larson did, I think. Yeah, he led more laps than Kyle Larson, so I can't. I'll give him an attaboy where I can. So those are the win stickers for the week that was. Next picks. Talladega, I picked Michael McDowell. Let me rephrase. I don't remember what I said. So last week, I might have said this is my pick to win the race. I'm more or less just trying to accumulate points. So I get points depending on how many points that driver gets. I picked Michael McDowell this past week. I picked the wrong Spire car, clearly. McDowell would finish 32nd. He got me 5 points. Finished 49 laps down. Little damage in the big one. Maybe just contact from the wall. A lot of the damage came from when Ty Gibbs blew a right front end, hit him off the exit of turn 4. For the O'Reilly series, I went with Jeb Burton, trying to get redemption after last year's heartbreaking finish. Led 2 laps, wrecked on the last lap, finished 26th, 11 points. And then we got Texas this weekend. Looking around for the schedule, I can give you a whole rundown of the weekend. So Texas this weekend, what time are these races this weekend? Trucks Friday night, 8 o'clock. Race I will be watching on my phone because I will be at another sporting event during that. Trying to quickly get to NASCAR.com. Let's see. Schedule. We have Cup 3:30 on FS1 at Texas. Everyone's at Texas this weekend. 3:30 on the CW for the O'Reilly race on Saturday, and then FS1 8 p.m. Friday night. Next picks for this weekend. Give me Justin Haley in the Truck Series, Sam Mayer in the O'Reilly Series. Who the hell to pick in the Cup Series? Give me Bubba Wallace in the Cup Series this weekend. I think Toyota gets another win. I don't know if it's going to be at Bubba. It'll probably be at Reddick. But give me Bubba to have a good day on Sunday. So that's going to be it. If you stuck around, like always, thank you. Enjoy the. I just said the race. Enjoy the weekend down in Texas, and we'll be back next Monday to break it all down and hopefully get something interesting to talk about. So with that, everyone have a good week. See you next week.